And then Jack comes in. I think Erica will come in tonight. Maybe we'll get the Madison in there. Like get Jacob Kelp and Sharu.
Jacob Kelp would be here.
The best. The absolute best.
Have you ever met him? I don't know what he looks like.
Nope, not a clue.
This man's in every live chat for all Survivor colleges. I have no idea what he looks like.
I can't keep up with this man. It's impressive.
It's really impressive. I don't even know how old he is.
He loves the show.
Sharu made it in first. Congrats, Sharu. Sharu said something about last week's episode, like a prediction. I forgot what it was, but I don't think it came true. Oh, I know. It was like if another idol was played on Austin, he would do something. All right, so we'll get started. Thanks for coming, everyone. Very, very packed episode. Kind of like a two-part challenge, you could say. And then a very interesting strategy with idols in the mix and cancel the vote and yada, yada, yada. But we'll get started first on Erica. So we flashed in on Erica. Well, we flashed in first on Addie, kind of happy that they pulled it off once again. 2 weeks in a row, saving Austin once again, 2 weeks in a row. And then we flash over to Erica, where she's like, I told you guys, not my fault. No one listened to me. Yada, yada, yada. What do you view from Erica's point there? Should she have spoken up more? I mean, obviously we can't hear from her right now, but should she have spoken up more? Should she have done something else? What do you think?
It's hard. It's hard to become, when you have an alliance of people and they're all sort of moving in one direction, it's hard to be the voice that's like, everyone else stop and take that spotlight away. Because you try to keep everything collaborative. No one wants to strong arm their own friends.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously she should have stood up for him more. Very much should have. It's just hard to say that she did anything wrong necessarily. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's tough in that situation, when you're in an alliance and everyone's set on this one thing, you kind of want to be a team player. But at the same time, if you're she could have been in danger. She very well could have gone home if they voted for her. So I think in that situation, you kind of have to look and be this is a stupid plan. This could get us eliminated, and really sit down and talk to people who she really trusts. I feel in that alliance though, because she came in late, right? She flipped into that. So I don't really know how much power she has in that. I feel the other group would be tighter and might just box her out. But I mean, yeah, she obviously should have done it. But I understand her frustration, but she also should have pushed for it more.
Facts. All right. So no, yeah. I mean, she said in her future vlog where she's like, we shouldn't have went for the home run. We should have just went for the single. Why doesn't anyone listen to me? And it's true. They could have just easily. I'm 18. I haven't shown my face online really at all. Everywhere because Survivor is the best. I heard you. Whoops. This is one of my favorite Survivor episodes in a while. Well, Jacob, you're probably our biggest fan. So shout out to Jacob.
Shout out to Jacob. This was one of the best Survivor episodes in a while that I've seen. This was sick.
Thank you. But Jacob, yeah, I mean, the fact that you're only 18 and you're watching all of these Survivor, I see you in every single live chat. So props to you, man. But yeah, so we'll talk about Erica a little bit more. I also want to introduce everyone because I forgot to do that. We have Ethan, one of the production people from Survivor Yukon. He'll get to talking a bit about his season because it just finished and it was amazing. We have Jake, a season 1 Survivor Syracuse vet. He's been here before. We have Holly, a season 3, a future season of Survivor Syracuse, hopefully releasing in 2021. She's back. And we have Joe, a special guest, not featured in the social post. He's just here for good vibes. He didn't watch the episode, but he was there filming it, so that's good enough. So yeah. So talking about what Joe was filming, let's talk about the auction first.
Yes.
So we have the auction, Survivor favorite. First thing bid is a beer. And Sean goes up, bids on it, and does his whole thing. What did you guys view of that? Just reaching to the table and grabbing it.
Well, I had PTSD, Because famously, I needed an idol that Sean grabbed from underneath the table on season 1, so it hurt to see it. I mean, that was a bold. I wouldn't have done that. I think I would have tried to hide it, and I think it definitely was not a great move for him just to go up in front of everyone. Love the image. It was great for us because I feel like immediately you felt the tension in that room because everyone's kind of laughing and then they realize like what's happening. And like I watched the extra thing or whatever, and you just see like Geneva's face like drop, and she and Addie are whispering shit to each other, trying to figure out what the hell just happened. Good for Sean. I don't think he should have done it, but I really liked watching it.
Oh yeah.
I think it was a really bad move to. It's not even like people finding out about it. That's a bad move because that was going to happen no matter what. But the like flaunting it. I mean, I personally like don't like that. I don't know. I don't like players, and like I have to admit I didn't fully watch season 1, so I haven't really like seen probably like all of Sean that I should be, but like just from that I'm like, oh man, like don't play like that. It's just kind of rude, but yeah.
No, yeah.
For him, I guess.
It was super fun to watch. Gameplay wise, I never think it's smart to like walk through a room and just like knock things over as you go and say like, fuck all of you, I own this place. Which is exactly what Sean did. But you gotta love seeing it. Exactly. Like Summer said, big energy. He owned the moment entirely, and all the power to him and the drip. I was obsessed with his pink tracksuit. I talked to Luke about it before I even got to this episode. But now there's a fine line to walk. It's a social game where you have to not piss off everyone. If this sticks with Sean, because it could just be one thing that sticks with people and they're just prove your character wrong, that hurts you. If he gets to the end, it may cost him. It may not even let him get to the end.
Oh yeah. I mean, Sean, I love Sean. I have a bromance with Sean. I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm in love with him. Jake can attest to that. That said, he's like Jack's the villain, kind of like you don't root for. And Sean's the villain that you kind of do root for because he's like cool. He's like golden boy, right? But that's true. Let's talk about kind of a bit of the auction and also in the superlatives. How divided you kind of see this season. So like you see like Sean and Summer kind of calling like Geneva and Addie out, like, oh, they're kicking you out of this challenge. You're definitely on the bottom. Or like
it's bad.
What did you guys think of that?
It was bad. I honestly I can see this season there are more than just game divides. Like there are some personal divides, like people that will not hang out with each other after the season ends. Because a lot of the stuff that is said is just kind of like, it's unnecessary. Like I thought some of the banter during the challenge was like, I don't know, like I would have been upset. I mean, you could see it on Addie's face every time she got a more negative superlative, and like people would be laughing. Like, you see Erica laughing in the corner, but Addie is obviously like visibly upset. And as much as like this is a game, you got to be careful. You don't want to make people like too unhappy. And I think we really saw that in this episode. It was bad.
Oh, yeah. This is where I was like, it was so hard to edit one also because everyone was just talking over everyone, especially when I was trying to like put up the superlatives or whatever. Or well, I think we all agreed after this that we all needed the show. It was just like so cutthroat. I think someone in the chat said it was like the pinnacle of a divide. It was insane. Joe, you were there. How did it feel to just see them like constantly talk against each other?
To me, I thought it was hilarious. I felt bad. Conflict makes great TV. That's all I gotta say. But I felt bad for them because they're there to like make friends and stuff. And of course, after the show was over, to see some people like, still really hurt and not wanting to like talk to other people from their season is always something that you don't want to see.
Thanks. So yeah, let's talk about that superlative challenge. What did you view of it? Did any of the superlatives speak out to you? and Mike eventually walked away with that immunity. What do you guys think?
What shocked me the most throughout this superlative challenge was how clearly you could see the divide, even how people were voting. Like, who's the most hated? It was so obvious there were like two groups going after this. Who's like the most liked? I've never seen such like a clear divided merged tribe. And there's only 9 of them left. You can't stay like a group of 5, a group of 4, which for some ungodly reason they all like have their heads on. So it's mind-boggling to me how strictly divided this is, and I'm very excited for that to end when it does, which I'm hoping is next week.
Yeah, I didn't love. I loved the episode. I didn't love the way that they kind of treated each other, because I felt bad for because I think Geneva and Addie ultimately made the right decision, because as much as they're like, you just flipped to the bottom. Well, like if they were with you, they would have been on the bottom also. Like I don't know what you expect them to do. But at the same time, a lot of the answers really shocked me. Like, I think the one that shocked me the most, and I wrote it down, was that Derek needs to take a chill pill. Like, the most calm person there is clearly Derek. And they're like, you need to settle down, man.
Maybe
I don't know.
we're saying that. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Maybe they were saying that in terms of like Derek gets very paranoid in his vlogs, so maybe they meant it in like that sense. Like he's a calm person, but he gets nervous. I don't know. That's how I read it, but yeah.
That makes more sense. I thought it was funny that they thought he was super angry or something. They're just like, calm down, because he's always so even keel.
No, for sure.
He's such a sweetie. He doesn't want to fight. He just wants to have everyone get along and have a good time.
I know, he was like singing during the tribal, like, why can't we be friends?
The best part of this episode wasn't in the episode, it was in the other thing. But there's a moment during the auction where Oliver comes over and Derek's just like, hey, don't eat the chocolates, and is like making sure Oliver doesn't eat any chocolate, and it was by far my favorite part.
Here's a good point by Jacob. It also doesn't help that they were alienating them. Pro Survivor 2. Yeah. Don't alienate the people that you need to flip. So what does that show for like Summer, Sean, I guess? In like down the line, they might need to like, in order to make it far, trust these people. The fact that they're like kind of back talking them, does that show like, oh, it's over for y'all?
I think that sorry, my cat is making like a lot of right now, but I think the divide is like, you've got, I guess, the 3 left now that have been like sticking together, like Summer and Erica and them. They're all very emotional players, and I think that is going to kind of bite them in the ass a little bit, because I understand like you get obviously super invested, like I did during my season, but you can't get too emotional, or even if they make it to the final tribal, again, one thing that you say could make people not write your name down. So I don't know. It's not like, I'm being kind of a pessimist, I guess, but it's not like looking great for them. I feel like in the future, like one of them is going to have to buckle down and apologize, like really hardcore, because it's not looking good for them right now. So,
no, for sure.
I wrote down at the start of this episode about how that situation was, where it's 5 versus 4. They're hoping to make it a 4v4 with, yeah, that was the right fingers. They're trying to make it a 4v4 with that vote cancel. But then even if that worked, they were down to 4v4. That's 2 rock draws in a row. That sucks. I don't like those odds at all. So they should never have been trying to like goad these people on and really like piss them off and fight them. I didn't understand the like caginess involved with touchy subjects and why they were doing that, because they need vote mobility and they're not giving themselves any. They're not giving them any options. Sean especially, he seemed like the ringleader in the like antics involved with it. I could see Erica or Summer abandoning ship, which I think they absolutely need to do. But I honestly don't see it with Sean. I think people would just be like, he can say he wants to flip, but I'll still just vote him out, is where this is heading.
No, yeah. It was even crazy when Austin had that chalk and just crossed every single box of Sean, immediately eliminating him. And it's crazy to see how Austin picked Sean when we had that whole transitional thing, and look at what has resulted. For sure.
Yeah, Austin's behavior this episode kind of surprised me too, and it showed me like as much as a logistical player he is, I don't think he is making the right connections. Just like all the comments he made at Tribal, like I'm on his side. Like I like his alliance better than the other side as of right now. But all those comments he made at Tribal, I'm like, it's so unnecessary. It's bad for your game. Yeah, I don't think it was a good idea.
Let's actually jump to that because Austin, another picture. Look at this. We're getting advanced. Austin in this episode. This is the first episode where I saw Austin like show raw emotion. I thought he was always this like logical, smart, and he like said it like 25%, blah blah blah. I'm gonna calculate how much chances the rocks are if I draw last. Yeah, that's Austin as a player. But in this episode, we kind of saw that he was defending his like side, and when Addie and Geneva were like getting back talked, he was like, I don't settle for that. I resent that fully. That's a terrible strategy. Holly made her point. What do you guys think? Do you think Austin really talked a lot at Tribal and really showed where he stood? Do you think that plays to Austin's advantage or not?
I didn't hate it. I thought the sides at that point were so clear, and like these people are just sitting there telling Addie and Geneva they're on the bottom. So I kind of appreciated that he like stood up for them and said like, you don't really know what's happening over here. Like you guys are being hypocritical, because they kind of were. And at the same time, I just thought this was a really, really great episode for Austin. Like that move with the idol, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, was genius in my opinion. I think that's so smart. I don't think I ever would have thought of that. And I loved the way they pulled that off. And yeah, I really liked Austin this episode. I completely agreed with him about all the jury stuff, which I'm sure we'll also talk about. And just his outlook on the game is really good right now, I think.
Yeah, I liked Austin a lot in this episode. I think it's really important to stand up for the people in your alliance. That ingratiates yourself deeper, so they're less likely to vote you out. And if you make it to the end and they don't, it makes them more likely to vote for you from the jury. I think it's super important to really have good connections within your alliance and stand up for those people. And I always laugh when you have two sides and one's like, you're on the bottom over there, come here. I'm like, where are they going to go? The bottom of your side. Like, what's the pitch actually? This was such a cagey episode. I said it already, but I loved what Austin did here. He definitely earned points going forward.
So Jake referenced it a little bit, but Idol. So we get this nice little montage. During that nice little montage in there of Geneva, kind of like, okay, Summer knows that I flipped on her. She's mad at me now. I think I need this idol at this point. She goes to South. And let me be clear when I say I knew that there were so many idols in the game, I had to make the clues harder because they were finding them like that. So before this, I scrapped all my previous clues, made harder clues, and Geneva still found it. So let me actually show this. So let's talk about that. So Geneva goes on this montage. She's at South, which is like Jake and Holly know where South is. It's like far attached from the rest of the university, and she's Joe. And Joe. And she's a grad student, so she probably has never even been on South until this moment. I don't even know. And she finds her third idol of the season. What was your guys' views watching this back?
Just applause. I'm amazed. I've written idol clues, and I probably couldn't find 3 of them given those. Like, all the power to her.
Oh, and Ethan has read my fake clues in Survivor Anarchy. Yeah. They're very cryptic.
They made no sense. Absolute madness. Luke just rambles and like then makes it rhyme afterwards. There's no direction. So I'm amazed. Geneva is incredible. And all the power to her for finding these.
Yeah, and I mean, I found 2 idols on my season, and she's now broken my record. So big congrats to Geneva. Super excited about that. But I never really looked for that long. Like, I feel like I looked for maybe 30 minutes because I had a clue and I knew generally where it was. But she said for the 24-hour one, she was looking pretty much the whole time and didn't know where it was and found it last second. And now this one, she's like, I looked for like 2 hours. And that's just, it's super impressive, the kind of dedication that she's putting in to like find these idols. So huge congrats to Geneva. Definitely, she's probably my favorite at this point, who I'm rooting for. But it was really cool to see her find those idols.
Yeah, and Holly, you've suggested that you are rooting for her.
Oh yeah, Geneva's definitely my favorite. Austin's up there too, even though I didn't love what he did at Tribal. I think he's still a great player. Yeah, Geneva and Austin are definitely up there for me. Probably my top 2 to win as of right now.
Mm-hmm. So now let's talk about the scenario at hand. So it's clearly divided. It is 5-4. Abby at this point pretty much has to play her cancel a vote. I think this was the last Tribal she could play it too. I don't know. She made it clear there. But wait, no, she had one more week because finally. Yeah. But where am I going with this? I really have no idea. Let's go back to Austin. So they're trying to figure out what to do now that they have an idol. The possibility is either play the idol, hope we get it right. If not, go to rocks. But then Austin comes up with this idea of, using Derek's fake that Hannah brought into fruition, and we see a bit of Hannah in this episode as well, and flashing that, trying to get a reaction out of people. And we saw that actually was the plan that ended up in the end. So what did you guys think of that, and what do you guys think of Austin's plan to make that work?
Great. Great. I think it was genius. Use whatever tools you can, and it clearly worked. They got a reaction, at least on the first poll. They could tell that it wasn't meant for Austin that they needed the idol for, and they were able to just work their way through it. I thought it was very well done. I was impressed.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think it's a thing that'll only work once, and like they can't next Tribal like be like, let's do it again. But I think because they put on that whole charade about the hat, which was so stupid, but like it doesn't matter because they got up and they saw their faces, and I don't think the other side really even thought that they would play a fake or thought that they needed to have a muted reaction before it was played on someone. So like as soon as Derek stood up, you could see it on Sean's face. It was like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to play mine now.
Oh yeah, and yes, Derek, that actually wasn't the fake that Hannah made, but I kind of twisted it that way so it looked like it. But Hannah actually bought the same idol on Amazon and used that as fakes, and Geneva got those fakes from Hannah. And then we made this whole like rule saying you can't buy idols from Amazon. So I mean, it's a learning process also, but I mean, nothing too pivotal was drawn from it, I guess. I mean, I don't think even people knew what the idol looked like at that point. So, yeah. Joe, what was your reaction there? Because you were filming it. One, what was your reaction to the hat thing? And two, what was your reaction to all the idols and me getting it wrong and shit? 15 people in here. Wow.
That hat thing, well, they basically just said that they picked whoever they were going to do out of the hat. I don't know if they actually did that though, right?
No,
they already had decided.
Definitely had like people in mind.
What was the point? Sorry, keep going.
Talk to Abby about that. I feel like they could have easily done that so much better. Like if they like, there's got to be like you could have done like a number and then like have like I don't know, I guess all of them have 5 letters in their name, huh?
Well, yeah, I mean, they didn't want to give it away, but I just like, who was that? Who was it for? Like, because they didn't matter. They could have just gone up and voted and like said we randomized it, or like just flip a coin, and they don't have to put on this whole show that was for nothing. It just like I think they wanted to have a fun moment, and they're just like, oh, this would be cool if we did it, and didn't really think it through. Other than that, because it was dumb. Who like. First of all, if it worked and like they thought, oh, that means they're not voting for Derek, they just get to the end and they're like, will you vote? Like, if that person's on the jury, they're like, will you like randomize your vote? Like, you didn't even think about voting me out because I'm a threat or something. Like, I feel like that's a little offensive to get voted out by random draw instead of like people who are actually like plotting and playing the game. I don't know. I just don't like when people are like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to flip a coin like in the game. You should think about everything and you should do what's best for you and not leave it up to chance, because rocks are chance, and that's a chance they were willing to take. Deciding the vote by chance is stupid, and I'm glad they didn't do it. I don't think they needed the hat.
I saw, what's it called? There's my comment, so I'm going to tell a real quick story about us filming that. So they were bringing out the fake idols, and Luke would just look at it and he'd be like, all right, this is an immunity idol. And Austin would just be like, it's not.
Where are these idols coming from?
Laughing into the camera the whole time. I was like,
me and Holly went through the contract before she played her season. She remembers the Amazon stipulation that I had to put because of
very specific.
Oh man, this season just continues to surprise me. The more we get into it, oh my god!
With part of the contract, you can't hide idols a week before the semester starts. There's so much madness that y'all came up with for this season. It's amazing.
Oh, trust me, we also have a rule that you have a limit of fake idols that you can put. It's just, it was a different breed out there, that's for sure.
They're creative. We have to give them that.
No, yeah. I mean, it makes me hate content. The production, while like within the season, was hella stressful, but seeing it back in fruition is just, it's funny and it's hilarious, honestly. But yeah, so it is 9:26. What else? Is there anything else anyone wants to bring up within the meat of the episode that we haven't discussed?
There was something I have. If I can remember it, I might not be able to remember it though. Oh. None of these people are talking long-term plans at all. And I don't know if that's just something you've cut out, but it is something I noticed, that they're just like, I'm going to be in my big alliance and just march down. It felt like there was very little effort on either side to like position. They just were like, we're in these sides. That's what we're going to do. And maybe it was because there was like a lot of toxicity at that challenge, but it just kind of shocked me to see that all these people, and I'm sure that it's happening, and like, there are things within the alliance, and I guess people in the chat can talk about that. But it was just pretty shocking to see that they were just like pretty happy to sit in this alliance, where even if Addie and Geneva are at the bottom, like they're two people, and if they get one more person, they're not at the bottom anymore. So I don't know. I would love to see the dynamics within the alliances that I don't think we saw a lot of.
No, yeah. I mean, I don't think, looking back at the footage, I don't think there was any talk about future gameplay. Everyone was focused on getting the other side out. It was that like divided. But who knows? Maybe we'll see more of it. I mean, I guess Geneva and Eric can talk about it a little bit more, but it's wild.
Yeah. Why does no one want to make, like, they're all thinking about the biggest move they can make and getting out someone from the other side. I'm like, that's not a move though. That's what you're just trying to do. I've never seen, outside of like Survivor Borneo, this strong of a tribal demand, even though they're not original tribes. But this is crazy.
Do you think?
I think. Oh, go ahead, Luke.
Do you think there was anyone from like Derek, Geneva, Austin, Mike's side that could have flipped? At this point, the minority was Sean's like 4, right? Do you think it was anyone's like? It would have been a good move for any one of the 5 to flip to get out a bigger threat on their side?
I don't know that anyone in that 5 necessarily. I think because it was 5-4, and the way those numbers line up, it's better to stick with your 5 for at least one round, because then you can shake things up when it gets to smaller groups. But someone from the other 4 should have seen, like, I'm up shit creek without a paddle here, because they were trying to shoot for rocks twice in a row and hope it worked out. That's not a strategy you should try and rely on. Someone needed to get out of there, and then if you really do think Geneva and Addie are at the bottom, grab them and grab one other person, and now you've got a 4 that can move forward, and you don't even necessarily have to do it this round, but you have that. Like, the crossovers need to be happening, and I think it's going to happen next week.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to. Otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand where this game can go.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't try anything. Like even like the writing was clearly on the wall. It was going to be 4v4. I get that, but at the same time, like I was in situations where like people were clearly not voting with me. But you have to try. Like they were just like, whatever. I could get 4 votes. I'm not going to do anything about it. I have my people. At least go talk to the people. Offer them a deal. At least be like, hey, don't write my name down. Like look out for yourself, or do if you want to force rocks, because that's actually better. But no, it was a very weird strategy, and it just felt like they decided we're just going to stick with the group and get through instead of like trying to make a smart decision to like get people on side, because they alienated the people they thought that would flip and then didn't go to anyone to make them flip. So they just were like, I don't know, they just didn't care. And I think that they rightfully didn't win the situation because they weren't able to make those connections.
Not fair. And let's talk about a little bit. We kind of glanced over it, but let's talk about jury for a second. I know there's what, 8 people still left in the game, but Summer talks about it how Addie and Geneva didn't flip. There's no chance they're getting my vote. I don't know why they flipped. The person that I've not talked to this game, Derek, will get my vote if he's at the end. I guess with Abby, Jack, and Andrew now on the jury, say that it is a regular go of the motion. Who do you think has the most jury votes at this point? I mean, it's pretty early to say, but
I mean, I feel like Derek's the answer, right? I mean, it seems like everyone really likes Derek, even though he's not talking to these people. And I get where Summer's coming from. Like, she is allowed to be pissed as a juror. What I don't like is that they're just like holding the jury votes over people's heads. I don't really like that kind of gameplay. Like, you know where I stand. I think that the best player should win in the end, and that you should vote based on that. But that's just my opinion. You're allowed as a juror to do whatever you want. I just don't love seeing it because like play the game. Don't decide at Final 9 who you're voting for. Like I know Abby went out and she's like, I know who I'm voting for at the end. I was like, no, you fucking don't. Like you don't know who's gonna be there.
I guess that's a good point. Like, what do you guys think about? Do you think it is a good strategy to like, flip to our side, or you're not getting our vote?
Blackmail is a brilliant tool. Everyone should be blackmailing everyone in Survivor. Quite honestly, everything's a bargain. If you haven't threatened someone with a vote against them or not for them, what are you doing?
He's definitely being sarcastic.
A little bit. A little bit. Blackmail's important, but I know I try to be nice. Luke knows that. I try to be nice in the game.
Oh yeah. No, Ethan would have blackmailed his jury vote for sure. No worries.
I did, Luke.
Holly, what do you think?
I think it's a bad idea. Then again, I really think that like personal relationships, especially in like college Survivor, are really important. Like, you know, as much as we want to win, we're not playing for $1 million. Like, I don't think you need to be insanely ruthless, because that's not what's going to get you votes in this game. And blackmailing someone like that, like, or just like holding something over their head this early in the game, especially, like, it's one thing to do it like Final 5, because that's like, you know, you're really getting down to the wire, like shit is really being determined. But this early in the game, I just think it's kind of rude, and it's a completely emotional decision. Like, I don't really think there's any strategy involved in it. So like, it's understandable, but it's something that I would only say in a vlog, not ever to someone's face.
For sure. All right. So before we bring on Abby, we have a new segment in the after show. We have Survivor cast resolutions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring out everyone in the cast remaining, so the 8 people. And then I want 1 or 2 of you to just talk about what do you think should their resolution be for the rest of this game to win. That's what I want. So we'll start it off with Addie. So Addie got 31% in the Instagram poll that was featured in this episode. Where is Addie's screenshot? Gotta put these screenshots up. So whoever wants to take this, I mean, flip. Hold on. What do you want to see from Addie to further her game?
I think Addie should definitely stay with Geneva because they're kind of being paired together as people like the jury doesn't like. So she should go there to the end with people. So I don't know, final 2 or final 3, whatever it is. I don't know if we're allowed to spoil that, but I know what it is. But she should go with like 2 people who are not as liked by the jury. And I think she needs to make some sort of move at this point, because if she goes with Geneva and the jury is with looking at the 2 of them and being like, okay, I don't want to vote for either of you, and Geneva has found more idols and just done more in the game, she needs some sort of defining move, I think. And I think that defining move could be next round or like at the final 7 or something. But she's going to have to flip it on the people in her alliance, specifically Austin, Derek, and Mike.
Sure. Good insight. Good insight. All right. We'll move on to the next one. Austin, what do you guys want to see from Austin? 62% in the poll of him winning.
Because I really like Austin as a player, I want him to make stronger personal connections with people. And just, I don't know, communicate in a little bit less of a strategic way almost. I think, like, obviously strategy is really important. And like he says in his vlogs, like, it is a numbers game. But it's still important to connect with people, because some people don't vote based on who they think the best player is. Some people vote purely on friendship, or, you know, as much as I don't think that's a great idea, some people vote purely on friendship and purely on how much they like someone. So I really hope that in the coming weeks, he can make some better, like, personal connections with people on his own alliance too.
Nice. That's a good resolution. We'll move on. I took screenshots. We're showing them. Moving on to Erica. Hopefully she likes this screenshot. 58% in the Instagram poll. What do you want to see from Erica?
Erica's resolution has to be to get away from her alliance that she's in. I think she had a very strong pre-merge, and people clearly liked her because they gave her idols. So I think she's got huge jury threat if she can get to the end. But the side she's on is not going to get her to the end right now. She's like screwed where she's sitting. So I think she more than anyone else needs to make a move next round to flip this game into a different position, to rework where the lines are and make it a more fluid thing. Because I think she has the ability to work the middle. I think she has the skills to do so. So I need her to get away from where she is. Her resolution is to abandon ship.
Fair enough. Good insight. Moving forward, we have Derek, our local dad. 48% in the Instagram poll. What do you want to see from Derek?
It sounds like Derek needs to talk more with people like Summer who aren't in his alliance. But I think he just seems like a very, very likable person. So I think his best bet is just finding some way to get to the end. Maybe bring someone like Geneva or Addie who have been threatened by the jury, because that's probably a win for him. So I think he just needs to like create some sort of core alliance, and then also just laughing at Derek saying he's so pretty. He needs to I don't even remember what I was saying now. I don't know. I had it. It's gone.
It's the bare white walls of the new house bathroom that really brings out the highlights of Derek.
He needs to make an alliance and just get there and make those connections with the people on the other side, is what I was going to say.
Pretty sure
I think Derek's super likable. I think he has to make friends with that other side to put him in a position where he can be the one to flip or not get screwed over or be asked to join into something. So he just needs to keep being likable. I agree. I think Derek's actually in a great spot.
All right. Moving forward, Derek, you do look pretty. We have the highest, other than Oliver the dog, of course. Geneva. Let me get a screenshot up. It's the same one that we saw, though. What do you want to see from Geneva the rest of the season? Let me go. Stop.
I don't even know what to add because she's such a great player. I'd love to see her stand up for herself a little bit against the people who were kind of trash talking her this week. I don't necessarily think that would be bad for her game because she is so well spoken and good at communicating. She's good at talking to people in an argument but not making it an attack. So I think that she could successfully stick up for herself and do it in a way that people would have like more respect for her than being upset with her.
I think also she's the one who benefits the least from these two sides because she kind of is on the bottom, at least from what we've seen. We don't really know the full dynamics. But I think she has to be the one to like go over and just make a new alliance with people from both sides, or just do something basically, because she's going to get picked off right now, and she should go to people like Sean or Summer who are in the other alliance and make some sort of connection. Like, she doesn't have to be the one to apologize, and she shouldn't be, but in the game, like, it doesn't really matter if you're in the right or not. Like, you just need to do something to survive. So I feel like in this situation, instead of just ping-ponging between these alliances, she should create something new, and she's likable enough and is clearly playing really hard. So if she can do that and have a new group, I think she stands a really good shot at winning.
Oh, for sure.
I think Geneva has the best shot at winning. She was my winner pick when I was on this show like a few weeks ago. She still is. She could find 4 more idols. Maybe that's her resolution. I think if she finds one each round and plays it, there's only 4 more to go, so they should all be hers. That's what I think she should shoot for.
Yeah, she said Sean didn't talk to me when I messaged him. Geneva, I have been there.
Sean's too cool to talk to people. People talk to Sean. Moving forward, Mike. And I also want to bring up a question. Mike, actually, I haven't talked about Mike this entire episode, but Mike made a point where if they were to go to Rocks, he would text Erica saying, if you want to work with me in the future, there's always that option. What do you want to see from Mike moving forward? 64% in the Instagram poll.
I want to see more of that cool painting.
That's sure.
That's
I want to see him work with Erica. I think who was it? I think Jacob maybe mentioned it earlier, or someone in the comments, but Mike, Erica, Austin from the beginning of the game had their trio. Yep. And I think that's a brilliant move to go back to that. The freshman 3, is that who it was? Like, yeah. They should totally be going towards that, because at 8 they only need 1 more, and then immunities and other things. It puts them in a really good shot to drive the narrative all the way to the end. I think Mike is kind of like my sleeper pick, because I think between Erica and Austin, between him, Erica, Austin, he's the least likely to get voted out first. So Mike's kind of my sleeper pick to win if they can pull off that sort of trio. I think that's a very powerful trio if that happens.
Fair enough. All right, let's move on. Let me get the banner. So a 50-50 split. We have Sean, aka Eric. What do you think of Sean? What do you want to see from him?
He needs to take a back seat.
He needs to take a back. What do you mean? What do you mean, Joe? Elaborate.
He's too vocal. He tries to run shit, and then he doesn't communicate well. Which, it's an interesting combo. You wouldn't think it worked together, but it got him this far, so I guess. But eventually, people are just going to be like, well, if he gets to the end, it's just going to look like he's running shit.
Yeah,
so,
I think. I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
Yeah, no, that was it. I had nothing to say. I remember things. I didn't watch the episode.
Yeah, I think Sean's making a lot of the same mistakes he did in season 1, and he doesn't have Ava to save him this time. He's a good guy, but he gets very competitive and just like kind of in your face about things. Like, I remember after they won Family Feud, I distinctly remember being really pissed off and seeing him on the table dancing, which I did not love. But it's just like that cocky attitude is going to make people not want to vote for you. And I just don't think he's playing this right. I think he really needs to make amends with people. He needs to communicate better, like Joe said. But it's going to be a tough path for Sean, I think.
Sean needs to get some heat off of him. I think if he can sneak through a couple of rounds and let the fires die down, because these sides will end and people have to mix and let go of what happened. I think then he seems very good at challenges. I didn't watch season 1, but it sounds like that was something he was running the whole time too. That can put him in a good spot to make a run towards the end, and then he can crack some jokes and make more people like him. But he needs to tone it back real quick right now if he wants to even have a chance at that.
For sure. And I remember that Family Feud. That was hilarious. So,
I was so mad.
Let me see. Okay, last but not least, we have Summer. 61% chance based on the Instagram poll. What do you guys want to see from Summer moving forward?
I think she could be in a good spot. And I think of that bottom group, I guess her and Erica both, I think she has what it takes. Like if she makes the connections and just abandons ship at this point, I think she can infiltrate whatever that top group is. The problem is I think she's like sworn off Addie and Geneva, which I think is a bad move because she seemed to be the one who had the best relationships with them. So she kind of like burnt that bridge when she really needed to keep that bridge for later in the game. And unfortunately, I think she needs to find a way to mend fences there and like find a way to get back with those people.
Anyone else?
This was a bad episode for Summer for the exact reasons Jake was saying. I thought she was in the best position of that alliance to not necessarily flip, but have the connections going forward. And by her hard-nosing it, like everyone else did, hurts her more so than anyone else because she had those connections and then she's left them to wilt. She's not taking care of them anymore and letting them die. And I thought Summer was in a great spot. I texted Luke that she was my like dark horse, but I don't know if that's true anymore after this one. I think it really like knocked her down a bit. I don't know what she has to do to recover exactly.
Fair enough, but we will see as we enter into the final 8 with the Loved Ones episode coming up next. With that said, we will bring in our robbed person of the week from this episode. Unfortunately, we'll get her in first. Abby, welcome.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome, Abby. I'm trying to bring up your video real quick. Unfortunately, Oliver could not make it tonight. She is not with Oliver right now. But I do want to give Abby kind of the swan song her and Oliver deserve one last time. So
best exit ever.
We're going to rewatch the best exit probably in Syrvivor Syracuse history with the music. Hopefully you guys can hear it. Yeah. Abby. Abby. Actually, fast forward a little bit.
Hugs. Oh, this hit every heartstring.
I was like, I could not take this out.
It hit Oliver the hardest.
And Abby truly was. I mean, I know you're in here, but you actually were the nicest of the divide, in my opinion. You were kind of like a peacemaker along with Derek.
He's shaking the hand with the dog.
What impresses me the most is she carries the dog and the toy.
It's very impressive.
What's going on? I got this. Don't worry.
I didn't notice Addie shying away from me.
Stay tuned. And there goes Addie and Oliver. Trying to get the video. We'll get it later. But Abby, talk to us about. It was a tough one to control because the sides were so divided. How did it feel to be like in that kind of scenario and kind of be like, oh, there's no chance either of us are working together. We're gunning after each other, guns a-blazing.
Yeah, I mean, I knew I was competitive coming into this game, and that was the peak of the competitiveness of the season, I think, because at that point, the lines were drawn and everyone knew no one was flipping. Like, it was said and done. Like I said in one of the blogs, no one communicated to each other the whole week. Like, my lines talked, their lines talked. Everyone was on the same side. It was going to be 4v4. It was going to come down to how they played the idols. It was genius of them how they did it, of reading our facial expressions. We never thought of that. That's very clever, and it worked. So we should have been prepared for that, but that kind of blindsided us.
For sure. I did want to bring up a point, and this might be a sour subject to you. I don't know, but I don't know yet. But previous vote, Erica talked about we should have just used the steal a vote. We have the numbers. Don't go for the home run. What was the decision there of not using the steal a vote and trying to flip Geneva and Abby? And do you regret that?
Yeah, 100% regret it. Andrew, when he got voted out, he said it best, where we were trying to hit home runs instead of just hitting singles, which is kind of exactly what we were doing in hindsight. We were just planning way too far ahead, hoping that it would go our way, and we got a lot too cocky in ourselves, a lot too confident, and it bit us in the ass, honestly. So we should have listened to Erica 100%. We told her that right after. Like, I was just texting her today too. Like, I know a million times over we should have listened to you, but you get caught up in the game and you get caught up in these plans that you think in your head are going to work out. And thinking back, I don't know why I thought Addie and Geneva would flip with us, but in the moment it seemed like a good idea.
No, yeah. I guess another question would be, did you know of anyone who was like looking into the future, like down the road? I mean, were you looking into the future down the road, or were you just like focusing on, okay, I have my side, let's get out their side?
Yeah, no, I think no one really looked too far into the future. I mean, we met with Geneva and Addie that week, and me, Summer, Addie, and Geneva met, and we promised them Final Four. And whether or not that would be true or not, I mean, I'll never know. I was eliminated, so who knows? But that was what was said. But I think that was also just kind of us. We had to give them something to hold on to try to get them to flip with us. And that was where the ultimatum came into it, which they took a lot harder than I ever expected them to take, because in my opinion, it was just a game move by me and Summer. So we didn't even mean it in such a harsh way in the way they took it. We were simply saying, like, obviously you're not going to flip with us for just because we asked you to. We got to give you some reason to flip with us, and the jury vote is kind of all we have to offer. So like, what else are we going to do? Otherwise we're just grasping at straws. So
fair enough. I guess another question, what was the idea with the hat like, and the colors? Was it kind of just like this fun thing to do, a swan song kind of moment?
Now I got to think back. I think we were just so over all the strategy. We wanted it to be random. We were originally going to do it random, because we were just so paranoid that there's somehow, again, the same way they figured out how we were voting for Austin and how we were voting for Mike, Austin again. We were paranoid they were going to figure it out some way. So we were like, let's not give them any chance to figure it out, because let's make it so that we don't even know. So originally we went into it planning on it being random, and then we kind of put a little thought into it with the rocks. If there was potential to be rocks, we wouldn't want Geneva to be it, because she could possibly flip with us. So then we just decided on Derek that, like, let's make everyone think it's random so that they can't possibly put any thought behind this. But little did we know they had their own plan with our facial expressions, so it didn't really work out.
Yeah, I hear from I think it was Mike who told me it was like Summer's bottom lip was the tell.
Yeah, that was not great.
I guess another question was, did you have any idea who was it going to be? I mean, I know you guys didn't talk to each other at all. Was there any like hope when Sean stood up that he would have played that idol for you?
No, and I was kind of kicking myself afterwards. We had zero idea, and they told us afterwards that they like stood in a circle and spun around, and they picked me at random. Apparently Oliver didn't help me stay in it a little bit longer, but they picked me, so there was zero way of knowing. It was completely random, which is such an anticlimactic way to get voted out. But I thought about it. I just had this gut feeling. You could see in the blogs leading up to the episode, I said, like, I'm going home tonight, like 25 times, because I just kind of had this feeling. And when Sean stood up, I was like, shit, do I ask for it? And I thought about asking for it, but then I thought if he gives it to me and Sean's name is written down, like I'm not gonna forget myself. Like I'll feel so bad. So I just couldn't do it, and because I was so scared that it was gonna be Sean's name, and I took his idol, which I should have, but you know.
I mean, he had his chance to play. You could have just.
I know. In hindsight, I should have asked him. I don't know if he would have given it to me or not, but I thought about asking him for him, like right there. I thought of just pointing to myself, like give it to me, but I just couldn't get myself to do it.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. This is way in the past, but I don't know if like I feel like this was like the determining kind of decision in the game. So let's take it back to the not the transitional trap, the double elimination where Eli gets taken out. Eli probably was one of your biggest allies. You, Eli, and Summer were going to take out Jack eventually, and Jack gave his idol to Erica. Do you look back at that moment and say, "Oh, if we had that idol, Eli could have still been in the game. You know, things could have been different."
Not so much. We met with. I feel you might not have been able to tell from the episode, but we spent so much time with Mike that week that we were like dead set that he was with us. Like Mike was lying really, really well that game, or that week, and props to him for that. But he completely fooled us. Like me, Summer, and him were hanging out, like writing down different scenarios in the dorm room. So we definitely thought he was with us. And it never really dawned on us to ask for the idol because we knew Erica needed it. I think the moment that comes back to my mind is that when Erica didn't flip. I think that would have obviously helped us a lot because she could have switched with Addie on that tribe, and me, Eli, and her could have had the numbers, and then no idols would have needed to be played. So that moment more so than the idols, but it was so in the moment. She didn't know if there was going to be another tribe slot, so I don't blame her. It's, obviously it's 2020, but I think if there was like a crucial moment, it was that more so than the idol because we knew Erica needed the idol. Like we didn't want to take that away from her because she would have been screwed without it.
Fair enough. While you were eliminated, I do want to congratulate you, though. This is probably the worst award to receive, but you were the first snake out of the entire season. It lasted up until this point. I kind of want to get your view on the twist. Do you think you were snubbed by the twist? I mean, you're the first person who has received an advantage from it. Do you think you were snubbed by it, or do you think it's just like, was an okay twist, blah, blah, blah? What was your view on it?
Meaning my steal a vote advantage?
That one, or just like the whole theme in general?
I liked it because it added a completely another element to it. Obviously, it sucked in the sense that Derek got the double idol because that obviously was a falling point for my alliance because we had the numbers going into that tribe. But it was kind of interesting just because you didn't know what else would be out there. It was more than just idols. And without my steal a vote, like we wouldn't have had a shot at that tribal. So I'm glad I held on to it as long as I did because I did think about throwing it away because I was so paranoid about having an advantage just because I thought I would be a target. So I said from the beginning, like if I at all think there's a target on my back for this, I will burn it in the trash in front of everyone. But I didn't feel the need to do that ever. So I just held on to it as long as I could and then used it when I needed to, but it just didn't work out ultimately. So
It's crazy. It's crazy. Ours was definitely random, but happy ended it well. I was surprised Sean played on himself and knew a risk, so we didn't. So yeah, like I said, I mean, Abby, you every time you showed up with Oliver or without Oliver, you were always this like kind of like calm presence. I thought you and Derek should have never. I mean, Derek got the superlative anyways for the chill pill one. But you were also voted like the nicest, and I honestly do believe that you were kind of, even though you were on that side and like you weren't like trying to mend both sides, you were still like a very calming presence. That said, if you were to play again, what would you do different? Or let me first ask, this is going absolutely terrible. What do you regret from this season that you would do differently if you were to play again? Better way of framing it.
That's a tough question because what I regret and what I would do differently are kind of two different things because going into it, I never expected to find an alliance and stick with that alliance through the entire thing. But ultimately, Maroon 5, which started with 5 of us, but then Erica got involved. So the 6 of us, who we still called Maroon 5, ended up becoming like my closest friends. And it just kind of, I never planned on not flipping on alliances, but then with them, I just never flipped. So I ended up just making great friendships from them, and then it just never really dawned on any of us to flip on each other and go join the other side. So I think that's not what it's hard to say I regret it because I met my closest friends, but in the game sense, who knows if I could have gotten further if I flipped. But if I was to redo the season, I don't think I would. I would have tried to just be a little bit more strategic with my alliance, but it's definitely something to think about.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy because I remember in the beginning of the season, I was like, oh shit, okay, Abby and Summer are a clear duo. They're kind of ruling shit, and you were the two that kind of had so much opportunity with, like, you had Jack on one side, and then you also had Geneva on the other side, and you're kind of like in this middle, but no one knew you were in the middle. You had that one vote where like no one knew it was your fault, and you kind of like hit it. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, Summer and I definitely clicked right from the beginning. When Eli was picking teams, she whispered to Eli, pick Abby. And I think from there, we just kind of clicked and became best friends. So I think it was clear that we weren't going to ever split up with each other. We were kind of in it to the end. But it was definitely interesting to see how our alliance formed out, because just right from the beginning, it was the challenge when you unscrambled when we went down and answered questions about each other. That's when officially Maroon 5 was created, because there's no videos of it because we weren't allowed to have our phones. But we were the last 5 left in that room. And we all, us 5 were standing there, and we were all kind of looking at each other. We're like, there's a good 5. So that's kind of how it started.
Fair enough. I mean, even though this season was very toxic, it formed like really solid friendships. Like, I'll say that, like, even though not everyone in the season were friends, there were divides of like really solid friendships, which I'm very proud of taking away from the season. Does anyone have any questions for Abby before we let her go?
Not necessarily a question, but I think a cool thing, Abby, that you talked about, that's sometimes hard as like a production or like a viewer to see, is like you actually like the people you're hanging out with and like doing this stuff with the whole time. And it does make it hard to vote them out. Like you said, like you were prepared to flip, but then once you actually get to know these people, it's not as easy as just like, oh, that was my friend, and now I'm just gonna like drop them. So I think that's like important perspective, and I appreciate that you brought this like niceties to this game and stuck with people you enjoyed. And I think that's cool.
I'm so thankful for the friendships. And even though there was a clear divide and everyone saw my competitiveness in the last tribal, like there was a clear divide between anyone, but for me, it was all gameplay. Like I would never not talk to any of the other people that were on the other alliance. Like they're all great people. I respect all of them, and I like them all as people. In the game, maybe not so much, but outside of the game, 100%. And I enjoy every one of them.
100% fair. Anyone else? All right. Well, with that said, thank you once again, Abby. Before you go, I have a little video that I want to show everyone of the star along with Abby, Oliver Dog.
This is what Oliver's busy doing right now.
97% place to win in the Instagram poll. Whoever have not voted for Oliver, shame on them. But let's watch it.
Yeah, he's pretty busy in the snow right now. This is the longest I've ever been away from him in like over a year. He got me on like the one day he's not with me. Oh
man. Well, Abby and Oliver, I guess. Thank you again for playing Wild Season.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me be on the season.
Oh, of course. And yeah, thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year. Thanks, Abby.
Bye.
Awesome. Robbed as well as Oliver. Oliver should have stayed in the game.
I know. We're all robbed of Oliver content and Abby content because you need nice people in the game.
Oliver should get to come back. Oliver should get to come back. I know, Joe, you have econ homework. So if there's any econ people out there, Joe needs help. But Joe, have a good night if you wanna dip out.
All right, see you.
Bye, Joe.
All right. So last segment of the night before we end this miraculous live show is winners picks. Woo! So Jake knows who wins in the end, but Ethan and Holly have made their winners picks before. I forgot what Holly's was, but who knows? Maybe they've changed. Who do you think? Who's your guys' winners picks?
Geneva.
Yeah.
Still. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I talked about it earlier, but she's so good. She's so good.
She is. I think I'm gonna be heartbroken if she gets voted out. I'm just like, it's such a disappointment.
I wouldn't be surprised if Geneva gets voted out because I think even though people are telling her she's on the bottom, everyone knows she's playing well. And she is so well spoken and clearly so smart. I wouldn't be surprised if she gets picked off early.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
But I also wouldn't be surprised if she wins. I really do think it's hers to win.
Fair enough. Well, we will see. Who do you think is on the chopping block next week for the loved ones?
Sean. If he doesn't win, I think he's in trouble.
Maybe. Yeah. No, that's fair. I was gonna say Erica, but I feel like she's gonna be able to like pull off kind of like reeling back from the drama that they all caused this week, I guess. But yeah, I think Sean is gonna get himself in trouble with his words a little bit.
I really do think that 8 is going to be where things start to like flip around. I think there's probably going to be some fractures in your sides that maybe don't manifest into a big swing until 7, because 7's the ultimate survivor number for a big swing.
Oh yeah.
But I think we're at least going to start seeing things. I still think Sean's in the most trouble. Even if things flipped entirely, Sean would still be in trouble somehow.
Well, we will see what happens. Just a point of note, I flipped on Ethan at 7. I'm just going to put that out there. That being said, Ethan, I will give you the shot to do the first outro, I guess. Done amazing work as well as Grandy and everyone at UConn. They just finished their season. Ethan, talk about.
We just finished up airing our second season of Survivor at UConn. I think I might have. Nope, didn't freeze. Go Huskies. It was an absolute blast. It's a great season. Super deserving winner. Super fun cast all the way through. One of my absolute favorite characters across any form of Survivors in it. It's worth a watch. Luke comes in on a couple live shows. I'm obnoxious on all of them. It's great. I promised Jack during the actual episode a little teaser for season 3. Neil was robbed, just saying. That is correct. But for season 3, I get to host it, which is a lot of fun. But I am by far the least interesting part of it because we have some of the most amazing characters, some of the craziest gameplay, and a whole lot of twists and advantages, just like you're seeing here in season 2 of Syracuse. The theme is expect absolutely nothing to make sense, but it makes perfect sense because it's supposed to be crazy. It's Survivor UConn in the doghouse. We don't have a date yet, but season 3, when it comes out, absolutely worth it. Keep us posted. Oh, definitely over Anders. Wait, I need to screenshot that. But check us out when it happens. Follow us on the socials, survivor.uconn on Instagram, at survivoruconn on Twitter. And it will be so great. Keep watching season 2 of Syracuse, but I promise when season 3 hits, check us out.
Hell yeah. I did it right this time. No, hell yeah. Everyone, I recommend season 2 of Survivor UConn. Neil was my winner's pick. He wasn't, but like definitely tune into that because it was a great season. Jake, whatever you want to say, go for it. So lay up.
What do I want to say? I don't really have a ton to plug. But if you want to follow me, I'm Jake Niebuhr on everything. That's Niebuhr. It's very hard to spell. Keep watching this season. The ending is exciting, and we will move to Zoom, so we have to deal with that. Luke, am I allowed to tease something about season 3, like a very small thing?
Yeah, I don't care. Go for it.
Okay, yeah. If you like auctions, we do a really weird auction in season 3 that Holly's on. She might be at the auction, she might not. We can't spoil that. But it's super exciting, and I helped on production there, and I'm excited for everyone to see it. So keep watching this, and yeah, happy New Year.
How do I do this?
Oh, it's just me now.
There we go. Oh yeah, no. Jake came up with this. Jake's not in season 3.
I'm not playing.
Jake came up with this great auction challenge that we're going to use for the future of Survivor, and it was amazing. So stay tuned for season 3. And speaking about season 3, a player there, Holly, shout out whatever you want to do.
Hi guys. Watch Survivor season 3 next semester, hopefully. And follow me on Twitter, @HWestbrook_. Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. Yeah. So with that said, thank you everyone for coming out. 2021 is going to bring us a lot of good stuff. I think Michigan's coming out with another one. We probably are coming out with another one. Ohio State's coming out in February, I think, or January. So there's a lot of good Survivor content to come out. I'm excited for that. Next week, we are back on Thursday, so short week. And the live show will feature some of the loved ones featured in the episode. So that'll be fun, a fun new hot take from them. So yeah, we'll catch you guys then, and thank you for watching. And broadcast.